Hi, I'm Carol and thank you for stopping by to check on my cross-stitching update for this week. It is a beautiful early spring here and I have been continuing Mirabilia March, which I picked solely because I love the alliteration. Also, I have a ton of Mirabilia projects, but I did discover one thing very interesting. When I created a parameter that said that I can't work on anything other than Mirabilia projects this month, I did not account for how much that was going to feel like, I want to say a punishment. It's not a punishment. I love working on my projects. It's that all of a sudden temptation to start everything else comes from nowhere. It's really, okay, it's not much different than I gave up seconds at dinner for Lent. Not because I've been eating too much or whatever, it's just the idea of I have enough on my plate. I always put enough on my plate for the first go. And then if I'm going back for seconds, it's not really because I'm hungry, it's usually because I'm bored and don't want to leave the table because I'm having a great bored. I don't want to leave the table because I'm having a great conversation with my family, but I can't just sit there with an empty plate. I should be shoveling food in my mouth. Whatever, it's a quirk I have. Anyway, so the point is that for Lent, I gave up this idea of needing to eat more just for the sake of going through the motions of eating. I eat because I'm hungry, not because it's there. So of course, day one, all I want to do is have seconds. Now, I don't even normally get second, maybe on a normal time, maybe one every 2 days. But then it just becomes this thing where because you notice it, it's like the old trip of try not to think of an elephant, and of course you're now stuck thinking about the elephant. But yeah, here I am. This is something I picked for myself for really 31 days. It's not that big of a deal, and it's harder than I thought it'd be. And at least I now understand that why whenever I've tried to plan my cross-stitching in the past, I should not plan for more than about a couple weeks at a time, because whatever I think I want to do, my mind will change. Anyway, so I'm going to start with the one non-Mirabilia project that I'm working on right now, and that is Joyful Summer by Country Cottage Needleworks. I'm trying to get the lighting kind of nice here. So this is a really cute, I'm getting distracted, okay. Really cute, small, fun, I don't even know what style we'd call it, project that I'm working on for my daughter. And right now I'm only working on this in the car after church because I don't have room for anything large or project-wise, but it's a way to keep my hands occupied. So here's where it was last time. And here it is today. I'm considering I have now put a huge amount of time and effort into this. I am really happy with how it's progressing. So I have almost completed these flowers. There's a couple right here. I don't know if you can see them in the lighting. They're the really tealy color that doesn't pop off against the blue here, but it's going to be surrounded by a purple, so that'll be better. But more importantly, I got up to here to bird number 2. Very excited. The end is in sight. This design only goes up to about here. So there's going to be a flower, another bird through here, and a leaf. And I will be most of the way there. And I've decided, my poor daughter, she's going to love this. She's going to have to help me pick out the quilting fabric that I'm going to use for finishing this. So maybe this weekend, that could be a nice after breakfast project because she and I will be the only ones at our house. So it'll be good. I have my husband and son are going camping, and my other son is going to be at a birthday party probably in like all day. So it'd be just kind of nice to spend some time shopping with just her. Now, I wish I could say like that one at least shows some great progress. I was not very focused this week. My initial plan, because I recorded on Wednesday, was I was going to give 2 days for the 3 projects that I was planning on working this week. It didn't really work out. I wish I could say. It was no particular reason. I just wasn't feeling motivated to start Winter Green right away. The Mirabilia that got the most attention this week was Autumn Queen. So this is my copy that I purchased in 2002 when I was a poor broke college kid, and finally opened her up 2 years ago and have been making some decent progress. I didn't make a huge amount in 2020. Left her alone for 2 years, and once I started picking her back up, been kind of making decent, steady progress. So here's where she was last time. And here's where she is today. Now you'll note, still have not done a huge amount since she got the most work. I didn't say that any one project got an amazing amount of work. But I have indeed finished through here, which is kind of nice because I can finally, for this color here, it's a blend that I've been mostly doing as a fill, and started adding some of the extra colors through the cloak right here. I did figure out, there's a hole here, a single stitch missing here, and 2 missing right here, that per the chart you're supposed to be doing in 3740, which is this kind of dark, like plummy purple right here. And I checked against the photo that's on the cover, and it clearly doesn't, when I stitched in the single one right here, it's notably darker than everything right around it. And same thing for the little spot up here. It just didn't look right, so I'm gonna have to take it out and probably do whatever this lighter purple shade is that I cannot remember the color off the top of my head. But it was funny, this kind of set the tone for how my week was going as far as stitching. They're just fine, but I've been happily kind of adding some more. This is actually, again, I mean, I said the bottom this last week that this is down within 50 stitches, but I'm starting to fill her skirt down. This bottom part here actually is the bottom of her skirt. Like, this is the majority of the purple I have left on this project. It's pretty cool. And for this one, obviously, I've chosen to just, this is, the middle is right here. I had gone out, I haven't quite come over to the furthest point over here, but this is the widest point of the chart on this side, and I'm filling down. So, really pleased with progress. Considering that when I picked up that project in February, and I was thinking a lot of it was guilt, like, oh, I buy all these things and I don't stitch them up, to have it really see how much progress I've made, even like with this week where I didn't put a huge amount of time into it, works out great. Because my intent was originally to focus for like 2 days on it, and I was going to use the weekend, I was going to have an amazing amount of stitching. It didn't happen, and that's okay. My next piece is the Stargazer, which was my new start last week, and this one, it's a really fun stitch. I actually want to just share that straight up, and because I was paying attention, when I said the scale of these were different last week, but I couldn't actually articulate it, the top of her head to her chin is roughly 20 stitches. It's on a diagonal, but if you propped her head up, it'd still be 20 stitches from her crown to the chin. The Mirabilia Queens are all roughly about 35 stitches from top of hair to chin, with actual exposed face being at least 30. Every one that I looked at was at least 30 high. So it does give you an idea of how much larger the person is compared to like what you see here. So this one also does, for the moment, feels like it's stitching up fast, even though I've probably not put that much into it. But that's fine. The real problem, I have now stitched her eyelid 3 times. The first, I had done her hands and was going darkest to lightest. There's 4 shades that are used for the skin tone, and the darkest one provides the shading. I don't know how well you can see it from here, but anyway, it's the shading for the eyelid. I was off by 1 stitch in the wrong direction. That's what I thought. So I fixed it, kept going. I get all the way to here. I was going to post this photo on Instagram on Friday, like, oh, hey, look where I am. And then I started filling in the very top of her dress, and I realized it was off by 1 stitch in the same direction. So if the eyelid from where it was originally was actually too far. Oh no, the eyelid was wrong on the vertical axis. Her entire head ended up being 1 stitch offset on the horizontal axis. And I was I was over it. Friday night turned into a froggy night. My husband was helping a friend move, so he got back much later than anticipated, but so I had an evening that I was like, oh yes, I'm gonna get so much stitching done. First of all, I know this about myself by now. I do not do good crafting after 9 o'clock at night, no matter how much I try. I so badly want to take that last bit of time and get as much done. I am slower at night, my eyes struggle in the light, and in this case, I mean, the problem I had done during the daytime, but when I realized it was roughly 10:30 at night that it was all I ended up doing was frogging until my husband got in at midnight. It was, say all I did, but it was almost like when you're doing, well, first of all, trying to very carefully figure out how did I put it in, because I have a bad tendency to put my needle through, so you have to almost like reverse stitch in the order, exact reverse order of what you put in. And I was over it. So poor Stargazer got put down for a couple days. That's okay. Here's where she was last week. And here's where she is today. You'll note there's actually a little less head than what I had photographed on Friday, but I did go ahead and backstitch her hands, did the collar of the dress first, and then double checked. She's solid. She's exactly where she's supposed to be. Unfortunately, she's still missing like part of her neck, so this was not where I intended to be this week. I really had every intention that when I sat here to do this video today that she was going to be fully backstitched on her head, she was going to have all her hair, and it was going to look fantastic. And you know what? I'm just happy that everything that's on there right now is exactly where I intended it to be. So I think this is really, really cute as far as the colors through the bodice of this dress. It is, as I stitch down, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. The swirls that are going to be beaded eventually, but for the moment, it's neat to see. I do love how the textiles look in all the Mirabilia patterns. That's why I stitch these at all. The people are cool. I do it for the dresses. It's okay. Okay. But that brings us to new starts. And that is going to be Winter Queen, which this one has a copyright of 1995. I don't know how old this particular copy is. Again, I bought it in 2002 when I bought all 4 seasonal queens. But when I opened her up and found she was on a single sheet of paper on all one ginormous front and no shaded rows to go back and forth, I was surprised. And I've seen some notations on Instagram that I guess all of the really old Mirabilia charts are all in the same way, so I guess everything I have is technically a reprint of some variety or another. But it made actually made photocopying her for my working copy a little harder to work with. That's okay. I haven't decided which direction I'm going with this yet because I'm still early enough. I only started early at Sunday, so a day and a half of work, which is not a lot. So, and I always, with the exception of the one full, left up to me, with the exception of my one full coverage piece, everything I will start in the middle and figure out where I'm going from there. So right now I am working down literally at the center, and I haven't decided which direction I'm going yet, which that makes her fun. I'll figure it out. And the other thing that's kind of bad, so she's still going on white, but I don't know how well you'll be able to see a decent bit, like what I started with was literally white. So white on white, I don't know how well it translates. I don't know if you can see it. Because I actually started, there's a very edge of her robe is right here. And then this is kind of the top of the skirt where she is seated. So I guess the bend for her waist is somewhere right around there. For this one, because Autumn Queen, I had done I'm building the base, if you will. I'm thinking this time that I'm going to go up to her head. The bottom of her elbow is like right here. So it seems like kind of an easy, and it's within all the same blues that I'm working with right here. So it should go well, but this is a couple hundred stitches. I didn't count them precisely. I don't really track like stitch count on that closely. I just kind of eyeball mostly when I have like a 10 by 10 square totally hit with the highlighter, but I am happy. I like the blues. I really like the blues. I didn't realize how much of this was reliant on blending the three basic blues that well, two basic blues and like white that I'm working with, but it's really neat, and I'm hoping to get some more work on her this week. I don't want to say this isn't a proper start. It's a proper start. It's just, it doesn't look like anything. Last week when I was starting with Stargazer, there was at least an arm, so it kind of looked like something. Right now this is a blah blah blah. So I guess that's the other downside to literally new starts. I forgot how long it takes me to get up to speed when I start on a project. That's okay. So that brings me to what am I planning on stitching with this week? And the answer is, well, still Mirabilia's, but it's a new week, so that means another new start. And I'm kind of finding, I thought that when I originally planned this, that I was going to do my new start at the beginning of the week. It'll probably be this weekend. I'm waiting for everybody else in my household to figure out why there is forever new projects that they haven't seen before. Nobody's asked yet. I don't know if that means they don't notice or don't care. No idea. But anyway, so my new start for this week is going to be Royal Holiday. So she's also not quite a seasonal queen, if you will, because I don't consider the Christmas season to be, it's a different calendar. You're not talking about like the effects of the sun on the earth. You're now talking about a liturgical calendar. But anyway, love the reds in this in particular, so that I'm really excited to be able to start this. And I have, what I'm using is this light mocha. I hope the color comes through. I really can't tell. It kind of matches everything else in this lighting. But anyway, it is a 32 count that I had picked up 2 years ago from 123 Stitch, and I did a floss toss mostly because I just wanted to see how much the white would stand out against this, and I really think it's like that perfect level of not too little, not too much, so I'm excited about that. And I also managed to dig up bad storage on my part. I had picked up all of the floss for this on Black Friday 2018 and jammed them in the bags. And it occurs to me I probably should not be storing DMC in plastic Ziploc bags. I also may have a bit of redundancies. That's the other, I've been bobbinating this week for stuff that I am not actively putting on to pre-cut links. And I have some stuff like, I have like where I buy these, because a lot of the Mirabilias use the same general skin tone colors. So I had bought like one for at least 4 of these different projects. That's fine. I mean, whatever. Like I said, I'm just excited that the colors on this are very warm, and it's the reds. Obviously, because Autumn Queen has warm colors, but a lot of it's more golds and bronzes. So this will be fun, and I don't know how much time I'm going to put in it. It's evidenced by the fact that none of my new starts have been very large so far. And I do plan on touching all 4 of these Mirabilias this week, so I can't promise that anyone is going to have a large amount of progress, but that's kind of a given based on the constraints that I placed on myself. I have been finding like how to go back and forth between the larger projects. I thought it'd be harder. It's not. The key is floss organization for your various projects. So like for right now, for Winter Queen, I have 4 of the cards that I cut and punched a hole in for my working threads, and I only have those 4 colors. I don't have anything else out right now because it's not in an area I'm working, so it's much easier to be immediately, I don't have to think about it. Grab, oh, that's definitely Winter Queen. Pick up the Autumn Queen floss, the project card. It's obvious it's labeled, but I do have a couple of those on a ring as well. So it's just about trying to make sure that I know what I'm looking at any given time. It's going surprisingly well, but the one thing that's really funny, by starting on these new projects, what I end up finding myself when I do is, oh, Autumn Queen, just because she's the one I've been working on the longest, so I have all more of the chart symbols memorized, but because there's more that's already happened, I feel like each little bit just kind of makes me feel better. Like, okay, the funny part, percentage-wise, I put in 100 stitches on Autumn Queen. It's almost nothing compared to, say, Stargazer. 100 stitches is making a big difference right now. But a lot of what I'm doing with Autumn Queen right now is filling in, so it's not like, it's a little more mindless, which has been good. That's, I mean, I guess every project has steps along the way where you're like, oh, I love this, or, oh, I have to count. Like, so the thing going all the way back to Stargazer, and I was talking about how I messed up how I'd done her head, it's that I don't necessarily, I am terrible at counting. Like, that sounds like the dumbest thing to say, but I'm not good at it. I don't grid my projects with the exception of my full coverage. And so if I'm counting over linen, and I tend to not work in great light. I refuse to use a magnifier. I mean, I'm sure there's things that make my life easier, and I don't use any of them. So, by the way, as an aside, people who can do extreme cross country, God bless you. I don't know how you do it. It looks fantastic when I see it on people's videos and on their Instagram feeds, but I could not do it because it's not how I think. It's not how I go through a chart myself. So like I said, it's super cool. I can't do it, and I'm really apt to start making mistakes if I try counting more than about 15 squares away from where I'm working. So with Autumn Queen, there's so many colors in place right now, I'm pretty much not able to mess up. I have not miscounted on it at all. I've already miscounted once on Winter Queen. Like, I literally like stitched 200 and I wasn't paying attention, put in an extra. Oops, didn't find it out until I was doing the color change later and said, oh, that doesn't work properly. Frog. It really has been a week of frogging. Like, Stargazer had like 2 spots, but I mean, nothing is as bad as her head's in the wrong spot. Eek. Anyway, so I guess my point is that when you're doing a new project, if you don't get everything done correctly, it's a lot harder to deal with than when you're using an established project where there's so many landmarks that it's much harder to mess up. I don't know. Just, I guess those are my thoughts right now. Anyway, thank you so much for stopping by again. I really appreciate it. I'll be back here next Tuesday with yet another new starts. I have to say, I am enjoying the concept of having the new starts. I forgot that it can be a little challenging to get your up and going with a particular project, but I love having all the options available to me right now. So I am probably going to continue this new start process through the month of April. It's just not going to be Mirabilia's. It'll probably be much more of a whatever I feel like, stitch what I want when I want sort of idea, but that's next month and we're not going to plan that far ahead because I'll change my mind by April 1st if I try to plan right now. So with that, thank you again so much for stopping by my channel. I hope that you have a great week and I will see you next time. Bye.